Hello everyone. In this video, you will learn what meiosis and mitosis are. We'll go over their similarity and differences. So let's start with mitosis. In mitosis, we start with a cell that has a diploid number of chromosomes. So for human beings, this would be 46 chromosomes, which we get 23 chromosomes from our mother and 23 chromosomes from our father. Or we just can say 23 homologous pairs. Now, after the process of mitosis happens and you have your cytokinesis and all the rest, you end up with two cells that each have the same genetic information as the original. So you now have two cells that each have the diploid number of chromosomes. Know that each of these cells are just like the first cell was. It can go through interphase again, it grows and it can replicate its DNA in centrosomes and grow somewhere then. So each of this can go through mitosis again. And this is actually how most of the cells in your body grow. This is how you turn from a single cell organism into you. So that's mitosis. It is a cycle. After each of these things go through mitosis, they can then go through the entire cell cycle again. Now, what happens in meiosis? In meiosis, something slightly different happens, and it happens in two phases. You'll start with a cell that has a diploid number of chromosomes, and in its interphase, it also replicates its DNA, and then goes through something called meiosis 1. And in meiosis 1, what you end up with is two cells that now have haploid number of chromosomes. So you end up with two cells. You now have two cells that each have a haploid number of chromosomes. So if we are talking about human beings, you have 46 chromosomes here. Now you have 23 chromosomes in one nucleus and you have 23 in the other nucleus. But you're still not done, because each of this will go through a phase, which I'll talk about in a second, which is very similar to mitosis, which will duplicate that entire cell into two. So now you're going to have four cells that each have the haploid number of chromosomes, and they don't all necessarily have the same genetic information anymore. Because as we go through this first phase of meiosis, and this first phase you go from diploid to haploid, you're spatially splitting the homologous pairs, and so this one might get some of the ones that you originally got from your father and some of the ones that you originally got from your mother. They split randomly, but homologous pair gets split up. And in the next phase, which is meiosis 2, it is very similar to mitosis, except you're now dealing with cells that start with the haploid number. It is important to realize that meiosis is not a cycle. This tells you that you have over here, that what you have over here are gametes. These are sex cells. This can now be used in fertilization. If you're male, this is happening in your testes, and these are going to be sperm cells. On the other hand, if you're a female, this is happening in your ovaries, and now these are going to be your egg cells. So these are used for fertilization. This will fuse together in sexual reproduction to get a fertilized egg, which they can undergo mitosis to create an entirely new organism. Now, where does this happen in the body? Mitosis is your somatic cells. These are the ones that make up the bulk of your body. And where does meiosis happen? So meiosis happens in germ cells. As I mentioned earlier, if you're a male, it is in your testes, and if you're a female, it is in your ovaries. And germ cell can actually undergo mitosis to produce other germ cells that have a diploid number of chromosomes. Or they can undergo meiosis in order to produce sperm or egg cells in order to produce gametes.